Shalom Aleichem, good morning. Welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime. I want to dedicate this year to the Yatzlacha of Ben Zion Ben Dosa, him and his family. Should have tremendous success in all their endeavors. Mitzvah Hashem. Parashas Kisisa. The Gemara in Yuma Daf Chav Beis Amud Aleph says that initially anyone who wanted to do Tumas Hadeshin would go up on the ramp, would go to the Mizbeach. But there was a Maaseh that two Kohanim really wanted to do the mitzvah, and they ran, and one of them pushed his friend, and he fell and broke his leg. And as a result, they decided from now on, we're only going to do this through a lottery. Asks the Meir Shapira. Normally we have mute hadoros, a deterioration in generations. It doesn't usually go the reverse. So what happened there? Initially, the first generations, they weren't so crazy about the mitzvahs. They just walked calmly. There's no rush, no pushing. But then later, they became such tzaddikim and they started pushing each other. No, I want to do the mitzvah. I want to be the first one. What happened? It seems that normally things happen in the reverse order. So Meir Shapira explained. In the previous generations, each one said about the mitzvah of Tumas Hadeshin, I'm not fitting for the job, I'm not suitable, I'm not Ra'ui. My friend is much more suitable for the job. And therefore nobody pushed because they figured they were such humble individual. He said, it's not shaykh for me. My friend is better off. But later on, everybody started saying, he should do it. I'm going to do it. I'm much more worthy of it in this position than he is. Much more shaykh to me than him. And therefore they started pushing. And with that he explained, why did the Torah say, when it comes to the mitzvah of Tisa shekel, the beginning of Parashat Kisisa, each one has to bring Tisa shekel, each one has to bring a coin, because there's a chashash. Everybody remembers the tragedy in Miron. What happens when everybody comes to do a mitzvah, they all come together? It's sakana, it's dangerous. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, yeah, but you have to give some money. When people are instructed to give some money, nobody is rushing, they walk peacefully, there's not going to be any pushing. Don't worry, and therefore to protect from a sakana, that's why the pasuk says, "V'lo yeh bahem negev bifkod oisam." Why does the Torah say, if you give machzit a shekel, give a half a coin, and there's not going to be a plague? And why will there be a plague? Because when it comes to money, nobody is rushing, it's not going to be dangerous, and that's why the Torah says, give a coin.
Could we have done that Meron?
Achar Maaseh, that's playing the game called Iftery. If we would have done that, then history would have changed. We don't do that. Once something happened, it's a gezerah from Shemaim, and we don't know Cheshbon Shemaim. But when we're planning ahead of time, maybe it's a good idea. Rabbi Yitzchak Mivolozhin once came to a certain town, and everybody heard, Rabbi Yitzchak Mivolozhin is coming to town, so everybody came to greet him. So they all coming, there was a lot of people, and Mamish became a sakana. People were pushing and shoving, Mamish became a sakana. So he said something similar. He said, why did the Kodesh Baruch Hu say, give a coin, machzit a shekel? Because it's a mitzvah. When you come to Klal Yisrael, Kodesh Baruch Hu instructs you to do something, it becomes a mitzvah. So everybody would say, I want to be the first one to do the mitzvah. I want to be, count me first. But when you're instructed, give a half a coin, so people will say, well, listen, if Moshe wants, he can find me, he knows exactly where I live, there's no rush. And therefore he said to the people there, pushing and shoving to see him, he says, listen, I also didn't come just to say hello. I came to raise money for Pidyon Shvuim. So there's no need to rush, there's no need to push. And everybody moved back and there was no pressure.
Someone who sells half a shekel, so what's McCain crossing?
Half a shekel? I can sell it to you too. Much more than half a shekel though.
No, but it was a real one. They say it's real. It's authentic.
And who said he was back then, he was there?
It doesn't cost half a shekel.
Of course not. How long was Moshe on the mountain?
How long?
How long was Moshe in the mountain? 40 days. Why so long? Why so long?
That's how long it takes to develop a new concept.
40 days. You think it takes so long for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to develop a concept for 40 days?
Each day it was added to it.
This is the Shaila of the Ibn Ezra. Listen to a language, harsh language. Ve'rekei moyach yitmahu. Those whose brains are empty, they will wonder. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu do for 40 days on the mountain? And they will not know. Velo yedu. That's the language of the Ibn Ezra. That if Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be there double that time, he won't know a fraction of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's deeds, ways, and secrets. All the mitzvahs that he commanded and people think, says the Ibn Ezra, The main thing is to know what I have to do. The 613 mitzvahs tell me what to do, I'm good to go. That can take less than 40 days. But it's not about the actual maaseh, it's about the kavana, it's about the leiv. Because the pasuk says, Beficha uvilvavcha la'asoi, so it's all about your heart. And Chazal says, Saredim Kufrav, Rachmana, Liba Baya Kodesh Baruch Hu wants our hearts. And the shoresh of all the mitzvahs, the roots of all the mitzvahs, that one should love HaKadosh Baruch Hu and cling to His ways. So it comes out that we should have asked the reverse question. We asked, what was Moshe doing in the mountain for 40 days? The question really should be, how was Moshe successful in such a short time to accomplish so much and to understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ways and secrets in only 40 days? We're not going according to the order necessarily of the Pasha. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to visit again Moshe on the mountain, and we'll see. Ve'ata daber ebnei Yisrael. Lemo, say to Klal Yisrael, Ach, es Shabbat shishmoiru. Keep my Shabbases.
I just remembered in Parshas Noach it says,
In Parshas
Noach, the Yamim for the water was 40 days.
Right.
So there's also some kind of Indian of 40 days.
Sure.
Some kind of
Sure.
fun going on there
Look at Rashi.
about the creation of the Keneged Tzilas Havlah. You killed.
Formation of the embryo is 40 days, corresponding to that. They wrecked it, so 40 days they will suffer in water. Corresponding to the time that they were in water initially, and they did everything wrong.
The 40 days of passing notice.
Right.
Some kind of tikkun for.
Ve'ata daber bnei Yisrael loimo, say to Klal Yisrael, Ach, es shabsoi tishmor. Keep my Shabbos, but why do you need this word Ach? What do you gain? What's wrong with say, Ve'ata daber bnei Yisrael loimo, say to Klal Yisrael, es shabsoi tishmoiru. Ach, es shabsoi. What do you gain by the word Ach? What is it doing here?
How do you translate ach?
Only. However, Ach always comes to minimize, to exclude. The word ach and the word rak always comes to exclude, mute, as opposed to the word es and the word gam that always comes to include and to add. So you have to keep my Shabbos. However, ach what? What does that mean? Comes Chassam Sofer and he asks, why were Klal Yisrael commanded about make sure that you keep Shabbos even at the time that you build the Mishkan? Why here? Why now? It didn't apply. It wasn't shaykh before they were commanded to build the Mishkan, obviously. And in the Mishkan itself, it's not shaykh because you do bring korbanos on Shabbos. So what does this word really mean? Rashi explains this ach means that when you build the Mishkan, make sure you stop on Shabbos. That's the miyut. Keep my Shabboses. Even when you want to continue building the Mishkan, no, don't do it. Well, it's such a short time. What's the relevance to say this word, to say this davka now when you're building the Mishkan? Says the Chassam Sofer, the answer is in the word ach. What's the gematria of the word ach? 21. How many Shabbosim were there at the whole time that they built the Mishkan? Let's do the math. When did they start? 7 days of Miluim started when? It's just exactly like this year. Today is Chaf Aleph Adar. 7 days of Miluim started on Sunday, Chaf Gimel Adar, just like it's going to be in 2 days from now. Because that year, Rosh Chodesh Nisan fell on a Sunday. That's what Gemara Shabbos Pei Zayin Amud Beis says. So if Rosh Chodesh Nisan fell on a Sunday, Day of Miluim started on a Sunday, which means they finished building the Mishkan on Friday, 2 days before that, today. Chaf Aleph Adar. Great. Moshe Rabbeinu came down, Yom Kippur, that fell on a Monday that year. That's a Tosfos in Baba Kama Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph say. And then he commanded, we have to start building the Mishkan. So the following day, they collected the money and they started building the Mishkan. So the first Shabbos, they did not work on Shabbos, they building the Mishkan, they stopped for the erection of the Mishkan was on Tes Vav Tishrei, the 15th of Tishrei. So from Tes Vav Tishrei until today, Chaf Aleph Adar, there's altogether 21 Shabbosim. We're not going to count the tomorrow because the Chaf Beis Adar, because today, Chaf Aleph Adar, it was completed. If that's the case, you only have to warn Klal Yisrael about 21 Shabbosim that potentially they're going to be violating by building the Mishkan. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, keep my Shabbos. However, es Shabbotai tishmoru. The 21 times that you're going to have 21 Shabbosim potentially for Chilul Shabbos, make sure you keep the Shabbos, and that overrides the building of the Mishkan.
So the 15th of Adar to when?
15th of Tishrei until the 21st of Adar. Little
after that.
Right.
Adding something. So one is a mute and one is a one.
Sure. As Shabbos applies to every Shabbos. Tosefes Shabbos before Shabbos and after Shabbos. And many other esin. Look at the Chumash called Chumash with Kol Esin Shebatorah. He has commentary there on 3,600 esin that are in the Torah. And many explanations of that one. Riddle for the week. We have to prepare delicacies for Shabbos. We all do, right? Oneg Shabbat. We have a rule. There's nothing that's hinted to in the Torah. Where does it say in the Torah, thou shalt prepare delicious foods for Shabbos? You're going to read now the 5 Chumashim? Give you a hint. Only in our Parasha. Parasha's Tisa. What's that?
Must be in Yom HaShishi, right?
Yom HaShishi, prepare nice delicacies? Where does it say that?
I'm trying to think that
I'm sorry? That's a pasuk in the Torah? But I'm asking in the Torah. And if you want, I'll give you a hint. Parashas Kisisa. But you knew that. The surprising answer is in Parashas Kisisa. The pasuk says, "V'shamnu v'nei Yisrael es ha-Shabbos." We say it every time, right? "V'shamnu v'nei Yisrael Shabbos." We all know it by heart. What's the next word? La'asos es ha-Shabbos. The Doroisam says that Targum Yonasan on this pasuk. Ve'yinterun bnei Yisrael yas Shabbasa. Klal Yisrael should safeguard, watch the Shabbos, just like it says here. V'shamu bnei Yisrael the Shabbos. What is la'asos the Shabbos? Le'me'abad tafnukei Shabbasa ledoroihon. To prepare delicacies, tafnukei Shabbos. To prepare delicacies, delicious foods for Shabbos for generations, as Mamish says this in the Torah. It's a Targum, it's a translation as if the Targum Yonasan on this pasuk. Lamed Aleph Tet Zayin, 31:16. We said before that Moshe was on the mountain. Let's go back to that. Or maybe not. Let's ask before that a question. Patience is a virtue? We all agree. Good midah, right? Great quality. Savlanus min ha-Torah minayin. Where does the Torah say, thou shalt be patient? Does it say? Is there an Indian to be patient?
Again, because of impatience.
What does it mean?
I mean, if they had been patient, they would not have done the Egel and would be
How long do you want them to be patient for?
at least a day.
One day.
One more day.
Let's prove that you are right. Klal Yisrael knew that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to learn Torah with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. The passage says they saw that he is delaying, he's not coming. Vayar ha'am ki boishesh Moshe laredes min ha'ar. Moshe is not coming. Where is he? Chazal say Shabbos Peites Amud Aleph. Don't read this word boishesh. Rather, ba shesh. Break it in two. The 6th hour on the 40th day came, and Moshe is not here. Uh-oh. Moshe is never coming back, and they ran and they did the Egel. What happened? On the 6th hour, on the 40th day, that they realized if he's not here by now, he's never coming back. Says the Meir Einei Chachamim. Klal Yisrael knew that Moshe is going up there to learn Torah with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Only Torah Shebichsav. Torah Shebe'al Peh will be given later with the second set of Luchos. So if we can figure out how long it takes to learn the entire Torah, and that time passes and Moshe is not here, he's probably never coming back. How long does it take to learn the whole Torah? How do you even approach this question? How long does it take to learn the Torah? Let's look how many letters are in the Torah. Medrash Talpios says 320,674. So you're going to help us. 320,000, you're going to remember 320, and you're going to remember 674. How many letters in the Torah? 320,674. Right, but that's inaccurate. Because the Rambam says in the halachos of writing a Sefer Torah that you have to add another 669 spaces, a space of a letter, between, for example, Parasha Ptucha, Parasha Stuma, and spaces between letters also have a meaning. And you have to learn what that means as well. So that's part of the Torah. So we have to add to the number we found. 320, 674, another 669, which together is 321,343.
341,000.
321,
321,000.
Wait a minute.
343.
41, you said.
321,343. That's the amount of letters in the Torah. Great. How long does it take to learn that? How do you start?
Divide that by day.
We go to Brachos Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. There we learn Bilam's claim to fame.
How many spaces we have?
669.
6.
669 spaces. In Brachos Zayin Amud Aleph we learn Bilam's claim to fame. He knew how to curse exactly at the second HaKadosh Baruch Hu was upset. The Pasuk says, V'kel zoyam bechol yom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry every day, but only for 1 second. Bilam knew how to curse in that second. The Tosfos asks, so what? What's it going to help you? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset only for 1 second, what can you say in 1 second? How would it help? And the Tosfos offers 2 answers. Either once you start cursing at the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset, even though his wrath is over, you can continue. By the way, this has a nafka mina la'alocha. Shalas Tshuvas Eretz Tzvi, the Kosher Klovi Rebbe, killed in Holocaust, he says, based on this, that if you start Shmoneh Esrei, start Minche, 2 minutes before Shkia, and you're going to finish after Shkia, but since you started on time, you're allowed to extend it and continue davening, even though it's after the time. Most poskim do not agree with this Chiddush, but he uses this Bilam, so this is Allah we learn from Bilam. So he learns this from Bilam. That's the first answer of the Tosfos. The second answer of the Tosfos is you can say a short word. 3 letters. Kaleim. Erase them. Destroy them. Chaf, lamed, mem. If he would have said that in 1 second, that curse would have caught. Baruch Hashem. This Kaleim turned, the Kodesh Baruch Hu made a miracle, and this Kaleim turned into same letters. Melech. Chaf, lamed, mem turns into a melech. And that's why in Parshas Balak it says, Utruas melech bo. Great. We learn from here that you can say 3 letters in 1 second. If you can say 3 letters in 1 second, in a minute that has 60 seconds, how many letters can you say? 3 times 60, everybody's awake? 180. But that's inaccurate, because in Eruvin and Daled Amud Beis we learned Seder Halimut. How did it work? Moshe Rabbeinu came down from the mountain, he goes into the tent. Aaron HaKohen comes, he teaches them Torah. He's done, Aaron sits to his right. His sons Elazar and Itamar come in, and he teaches them Torah. When he's done, they sit on his right and on his left, and the elders come in, the Zkenim. He teaches them Torah. They sit to them, next to him, and then Klal Yisrael comes in and he teaches them Torah. We see from here, you must learn 4 times. If you learn without Chazara, it's gunisht. The Maharsha over there says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu also taught Moshe 4 times. So we don't care about Chazara. We need to know how long it takes to learn the Torah. The whole Torah in the shortest time. We don't care about Chazara. So we got to take 180 letters that we found for a minute and divide it by 4. 180 divided by 4 is 45. So our real speed of advancement every minute is 45 letters per minute. Great. How many minutes in an hour? 60? 60 times 45 letters per minute, 2,700. So we're moving at a speed of 2,700 letters per hour. Great. Now let's take the big number, which was 321,343, divided by 27 letters per hour, and we'll know exactly how many hours are needed. 321,343 divided by 2,700 is 119 hours and 1 minute. Whoa, wait a second. So why did Moshe get stuck in the mountain for 40 days? 119 hours is not even 5 days. 5 days, each one is made out of 24 hours, is 120 hours. So it's less than 5 days. Why did he get stuck on the mountain for 40 days? No, he doesn't sleep there, and he doesn't eat, and he doesn't drink.
How did they know that?
Because in Tana de Eliyahu Rabba, that story we learn from Eliyahu Novi, Parsha Yud Zayin. In Avodah Zarah Daf Daled Amud Beis, we learn HaKadosh Baruch Hu's schedule is a very busy one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't learn all day long. First 3 hours of the day, he judges the whole world. Again, this Agada part in the Gemara has nafkamina lahalacha. Shulchan Aruch HaChaim, Siman Tav Kuf Tzadi Aleph, we learn that if you're stuck in quarantine, Corona days, a person who's sick somewhere, a person who's stuck on a desert island, I don't know why, he doesn't have a minyan for Rosh Hashanah. He should not daven Musaf the first 3 hours of the day. It's dangerous. It's a time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges the world. So you need koyach hatzibur. So if you would tzibur, you can daven even those 3 hours, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu never rejects the tefillah of the tzibur that we learn in Brachos Daf Ches. But if you're coming alone, mano a mano, it's dangerous. Don't daven the first 3 hours of the day. The second 3 hours of the day, a Kodesh Baruch Hu sits and learns Torah. The third set of 3 hours, a Kodesh Baruch Hu sustains the whole world, from Beit Kinim ad Karnei Reim, in the Lashon of the Gemara. In the Medrash it says he's mezavek zivugim, he finds shidduch for people. So Lemaisa, he only learns 3 hours every day. So we got to take 119 hours in a minute that we found and divide it by 3, and that will tell us how long it really needs. Moshe needs to stay with the Kodesh Baruch Hu to learn the whole Torah. 119, or 1 divided by 3 is 39 days, 2 hours, and 1 minute. 39 days passed. The 40th day came. First, second, third hour of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges the world. He's not learning Torah. He comes, calls Moshe, come in. The 4th and 5th hour, he's learning Torah with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now came the 6th hour. Klal Yisrael look at their watch. Oops. 6th hour, 40th day, Moshe is not here. They ran and did the egel. If they would have waited, what's missing? 1 more minute. It wouldn't be Chet HaEgel. We ask Savlanus min HaTorah minayin. Where do you see patience in the Torah? It's mamash a pasuk mefarash in the Torah. It's mamash, it's written here. Thou shall be patient, chas v'sholom, 1 minute. That gives a new understanding of the saying, Achipazon min Satan. This is in fact, Chipazon came from a Satan. Achipazon of 1 minute that caused the Chet HaEgel.
The same thing happened with Shaul HaMelech, where Shmuel told him to wait for him.
Right, but I think that was more than 1 minute. Here for 1 minute, Chet HaEgel. That was still suffering till today from.
Satan caused them to see the like.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Achipazon min Satan. This came out from a Satan. He told him, look at your watch. Look, it's a 6 hour. Look, he's not coming back. He's dead. Achipazon min Satan.
But Aaron tried to hold them back, delay.
Right.
So it must have been more than 1 minute.
You see, it didn't work. Why? Why? What's the problem?
Came the end of time, 6 hours, trying to do all their shtick, and then Aaron Cohen trying to delay them.
You know how fast.
1 minute.
You know how fast. You know how fast Aaron works. You know how fast it takes the train from there, the plane, the spaceship, whatever he took to come down. You know how long it takes. But once he started coming down, the Satan wouldn't be able to show them. Moshe is still up there. He's not there anymore. Satan showed it to them when it was the 6th hour. But in 1 minute, he won't be able to show them. He showed them an image of Moshe Rabbeinu up there. So that means he's never coming back. Ein meshivin al hadrush, anyways. Women, are they obligated in building Beis Hamikdash?
No.
Men are. Women?
No.
No. Why not? You're going to have a problem with the Rambam. You're going to have a problem with the Rambam.
And not good in construction.
All of them? What's that? And all men are good? So they should also be excluded? Rambam Minchos Beis Abchira, Perek Aleph Halachot Beis. I think we mentioned it a few weeks ago. The Rambam says, "En boinin es hamikdash balayla." Do not build Beis Hamikdash balayla. Why? Shneimar uviyom hakim es hamishkan. And the day they built the Mishkan, bayom velo balayla. You don't build Beis Hamikdash balayla. And you do ve'oiskin bayom. When do you do this? In what hours? Me'alos hashachar ad seisa koichavim. The whole day. The Rambam continues in the same halacha and says, "V'hakol chayavim livnois ulesaed be'atzman uvemamoinam." And everybody has to be involved with their body, with their money. Anashim ve'nashim kemigdash hamidbar. Men and women like the Mishkan in the desert. So are women chayav in building Beis Hamikdash or not?
Yes.
Pashut. That's Mishnah Rishona, that's Mishnah Achroina. עד שיבוא הכוסף השלישי ויחיה ביניהם. Oh! The Rambam just contradicted himself in the same halacha. How did this halacha start? Don't build it at night, only during the day. So what is it defined as? It's not?
No.
A mitzvah that's only noeg during the day.
You do it any time during the day. It's not one specific time.
You're not allowed to do it at night. That means only tomorrow morning you can start. What is that called? Tzitzis is a mitzvah as Zman Grama or not?
Yeah.
Why?
Only during that. It says,
Only during the day when? At 8 a.m.? Whenever you want. Whenever you want, right?
Right.
So why is this not the same? Tefillin?
Yeah, okay.
Many, many other mitzvahs? If you tell me you can't do it in a certain time, that means you can only do it at a certain time. That means, and if it's a positive mitzvah, that's a positive mitzvah, a time-bound positive mitzvah, which means women are out. So in the same halacha, the Rambam defines this mitzvah as a positive time-bound mitzvah, and then he says, yeah, but women are included. Excuse me.
You have for example, Shabbat.
Yeah.
I think that's an exception.
There's a special limud that whoever is included in the negative commandment, and women are also included in the positive one, special for Shabbos.
Started off with in Boni, and the next line didn't say Boni, it said something else.
En בו נס המקדש בלילה, שנאמר וביום הקים את המשכן, ביום מקימין ולא בלילה. What is it until now?
That's meant.
Time bound.
Yeah, time bound.
ועוסקין בבניין מעלות השחר עד תשע כוכבים. Continues on in the same halacha. והכל חייבים לבנוס, to build ולסייד and to assist. To build and to assist בעצמן ובממונם. Body and soul. Spirit, you got to take your wallet out and you have to help with your hands. Live noise. You told me it's a positive mitzvah, time-bound positive mitzvah. Can you tell me women are included?
Maybe the hakol doesn't mean women.
Okay. The hakol chayavin livnois. Who is the hakol? Rambam. Anashim venashim. Those are women. Kemikdash hamidbar. Just like in the Mishkan. You're contradicting yourself. In the same halacha, maybe. Maybe if you contradict yourself one halacha here, a little later there, we'll try to figure it out. In the same halacha. 11 answers. Not one, not two, not three.
In the midbar, it could also be built only during the day.
Uveyom hakim es hamishkan. We learn it from the Mishkan that was erected during the day. Uveyom bayom velo balayla. That's the Rambam's language.
They did it.
What's that?
Women did it in the Mishkan, right? They did it already once, so they should not have done it either.
Good question. Who asked this question? The answer is, who doesn't ask this question? Sholu Meshiv, Shalos Chuvas Divrei Malkiel, Shalos Chuvas Beis Yitzchak, Shalos Chuvas Minchas Elazar, Shalos Chuvas Yisrael Rus Tshuva, Klei Chemda, Kehilos Yaakov, and more. So we only have 11 answers. Let's start. Kehilos Yaakov answers, two answers. Kehilos Yaakov in Shavuos says, there's two parts to building Beis HaMikdash. The first one is the actual building. And the second is the preparation for the building. You have to prepare the wood. You have to prepare the stones, the bricks. So the building itself, you can only do during the day. But the hachana, you can do during the night. You can gather the wood and do whatever you need to do, the hachana part at night. So mimele, don't tell me it's a positive, time-bound mitzvah that women should be excluded. It's not. The hachana to the mitzvah, which is part of the mitzvah, which can be done at night, means women can be shayach. And on Shabbos, the fact that you're not allowed to build Beis HaMikdash, don't make that into a time-bound mitzvah, because that's called an Isur Tzedadi, as we see in many mitzvahs. The Kehilos Yaakov also writes, when do we say, this is a tremendous chiddush, when do we say this concept that women are excluded from a positive time-bound mitzvahs? Mitzvahs that are placed on the individual, on the yachid, but mitzvahs on the tzibur, even if it's time-bound, women are chayav. And since Beis HaMikdash is a public type of a mitzvah, is for the tzibur, women are going to be chayav, even though you're going to call it a time-bound positive mitzvah. Tremendous chiddush. Not the only chiddush. The Pnei Yoshua, Kiddushin Chavtes Amud Aleph, he says, in a mitzvah that can be performed using a shaliach, there is no exemption of a positive time-bound mitzvah. Since Beis HaMikdash you can do through a shaliach, women are chayav. Tremendous chiddush. Another chiddush. Turi Even Megillah, Daf Chaf Amud Aleph, he says, when do we say this exemption of positive mitzvah, which is time-bound, and women are excluded? That's something that is noyeg every single day, a new mitzvah. Comes the night and stops it, the following day is a new mitzvah. But if you have one mitzvah that technically speaking you don't do at night, but it's not a new mitzvah tomorrow, it's just a pause, you went to sleep, there's a break, it's considered one mitzvah, that's not called a time-bound positive mitzvah that women will be excluded from. So in this case, building Beis Hamikdash, there is a chiyuv to do it, and once you start, the first day you start building, until you're done, it's considered you're involved in one mitzvah. Every single day you're putting in tzitzis, it's not one mitzvah, it's every single time a new mitzvah. Every single time you put in that tefillin, it's a new independent mitzvah, not shaykh to what you did yesterday or you didn't do. But building Beis Hamikdash is one long mitzvah that is paused every so often when the night comes. That's not called a positive time by mitzvah, which will be excluding the women.
What about Limud Torah?
What about Limud Torah?
We say a bracha every day to restart the day.
Tremendous chiddush by the Levush, or Chaim Simin Mem Zayin. And he says, his Levush is the greatest posek. But he says, why do you say 2 brachos? Where do we find a mitzvah that you say 2 brachos for? You say every morning 2 brachos? Why do you need 2 brachos?
Matzah, you have 2 brachos.
It's not over the matzah. The matzah you say 1 bracha. Achilas matzah is 1. You say every time you eat bread. For the mitzvah, for the matzah itself, you say 1. Where do you find 2 brachos for one thing? It's not shaykh. No? That's 1 mitzvah. That's another mitzvah. That's why we say 2 brachos. Says the Shalom Eshiv, the first bracha you say is actually a bracha achroina on the Torah you learned yesterday. The second bracha is a bracha rishona for the Torah you're going to learn today. And he says, and don't ask me, but wait a second. A bracha achroina after 8 hours of sleeping, it's after shiur ikul. It's already digested. He says, no, the pasuk in Tehilim Perek Mem says, V'soirascha besoch me'ai. The Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says David HaMelech, your Torah is always in my innards, it's always inside. Maybe it's never digested. If it's never digested, you still feel satiated from the Torah you said yesterday, you can say a bracha achroina now. Tremendous chiddush. Levush, in Siman Mem Zayin, in Birkas HaTorah. If it wasn't Levush, we would say it's cute, but it's a Levush.
So according to this, if the ones who say Sefirat Omer is 1 mitzvah, so women should be chayav.
Big machlokes, how do we view that? Is 49 independent mitzvahs or 1 mitzvah?
But if it's 1, we should say the women should do it, no? Or not?
Time bound.
It's still time bound. When does it come? When does it start?
Okay.
Time bound.
Bet HaMikdash, everything is time bound. Bet HaMikdash will take a certain amount of days to be built.
No, but Beis Hamikdash is not on a specific date. I have a new mitzvah for you. Go build Beis Hamikdash. That's not time bound. Great. However, anu chiddush. Minchas Chinuch, mitzvah tzadi hey. He says, you don't build Beis Hamikdash at night. That's lechatchila. But if you did, it's not called nifsal. It's not disqualified. Mikdash David wonders about this because Yerushalmi implies that it does this, gets disqualified. However, according to Minchas Chinuch, if it's not disqualified because you build it at night, that's not considered a time-bound positive mitzvah. A time-bound positive mitzvah that will be excluding women is only something that even if you did it at night, it doesn't work. That doesn't fall into this category, and therefore women will be chayav. Others say, Kiddushin Lamed Daled, we say about women, they're chayav in mezuzah. Why are women chayav in mezuzah? We would like to exempt them. Because the mitzvah of mezuzah is in the Torah right next to the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. And maybe there's a hekesh between Talmud Torah that women are exempt to mezuzah. So just like they're exempt from Torah, they should be exempt from mezuzah. But because of the concept called Atu Gavri Bae Chaye Venashi Bae Lo Bae Chaye, women don't need life. Mezuzah gives life. It's a protection for the house. It's a shmira. What does it say on the mezuzah? Shin and Dalet and Yud, and that's an acronym for Shoymil Dalel Zos Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches over the homes of people who put a mezuzah on their doorposts. So just like women need life, just like men need life, so do women, and they're chayiv in mezuzah. Same thing here. Why do you need Beis Hamikdash? For an atonement. Men need atonement and women don't need atonement. So just like men need atonement, women also need atonement, and therefore they're chayiv in building Beis Hamikdash.
You could say women need less of an atonement.
Why?
Less mitzvahs.
The only less mitzvahs is a positive mitzvahs. There's only 30 positive. Before most of the kapara that you need is for the negative ones. There's a big machlokes if one is punished for nullifying a positive mitzvah. He just didn't do it. He didn't get a check in the mail. But when you transgress something that I told you don't, it's much worse. So they're chayav in all the negative commandments just like the men. And maybe a person who's such a high level, his avera is even worse than a person who is not chayav in so many mitzvahs. So who knows? We don't know. Everyone needs kapara. And that will include women, and therefore the chayav in building Beis Hamikdash. That's what the Yisrael's Tshuva says, and that's what Vayelakit Yosef says, and others say.
On this basis, people also say women are chayav in milchamas mitzvah.
What's the connection?
Well, first of all,
Pikuach nefesh type of thing.
yeah, because it's also on the community. It's not on the individual.
But anyways, milchamas mitzvah is not a time-bound positive mitzvah. When the milcha starts, and that the milchama starts, and that has nothing to do with time.
No, but there's a reason we have for saying they shouldn't be chayav because of the issa that they're not allowed to carry weapons.
Fine, but that has nothing to do with a positive mitzvah, a time-bound positive mitzvah. It's a different discussion. The Rishonim say, why is it that, in fact, women are exempt from a positive, time-bound type of mitzvah? Because if I would tell the woman she has to be at 6 o'clock in the morning with me in shul, she can't do that. She has to be with her husband. She is mishuabedes lebaila. She's subjected to her husband. But here, since the husbands are also chayav in the same mitzvah, and if I'm going to tell her to do it, not to do it, she's exempt, so the husband is going to have to do it anyways, he has to do it. Mimele, there's no reason to exclude her from this mitzvah, and therefore she is chayav. Some others say, the whole mitzvah of Esse, of Binyan Beis Hamikdash, where do we learn this positive mitzvah from? Ve'asu l'mikdash. Ve'asu l'mikdash is not just for the Mishkan, it's for generations. What does it say about building the Mishkan? V'chol isha chachmas lev v'yavou ha'anashim al ha'nashim. And that's the source for the Rambam to say that women are chayav in building Beis Hamikdash, because he says just like the Mishkan in the desert, and you see that in the desert they were involved. So the Torah here tells you that this is a yotzei dofen, this is an exception. You have many exceptions. Megillah, isn't it a positive mitzvah, time-bound mitzvah? Yeah. But Afen Ayu Be'oiso Anes, they were also involved in the miracle, so they're also chayav. There is the mitzvah of Simcha, that they're also chayav. There's the mitzvah of Hakhel. These are positive, time-bound mitzvahs, and there's an exception. So since we see an exception in the Mishkan, and we learn it from there for generations, obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants women to be involved in there as well. That's what the Minchas Elazar says, and Divrei Malkiel. However, the Klei Chemda rejects this, and he says, who told you these psukim that we just quoted say that women were chayav? Maybe they volunteered to help in building Beis Hamikdash. Who told you they're chayav? There wasn't a commandment specifically for women, and therefore he rejects this idea. Ninth answer.
We don't know from the Chumash really. We only know about people involved in the preparations and the materials used in the Beis Hamikdash. As far as the actual the Mishkan in that case, as far as the construction of the Mishkan was concerned, we only learned that Moshe Rabbeinu, he was the only one that was actually putting it up.
No, but he commanded, Daber Bnei Yisrael, and I want you to build the Mishkan. Ve'asu limikdash v'shachanti b'soichem, that's a commandment for Klal Yisrael. But since there's no specific pasuk talking to the women, but it does suggest that they were involved, maybe they volunteered. Who told you they were commanded to do so? Anu Chidish. The Mayan Chochma says in Pashas Vayischanan, this whole idea of an exemption for women in a positive mitzvah, in a time-bound positive mitzvah, is not shayach, doesn't exist in Kochim. It's all over the Torah, except for Kochim. Because the source for women to be exempt from a positive time-bound mitzvah is because the whole Torah, there's a hekesh of the whole Torah to Tefillin, and Tefillin to Talmud Torah. So just like in Talmud Torah, they are exempt, so too they're exempt from everything else. But Bekochim, in Zvachim Mem Tesamud Beis, we learn that something which is learned by Hekesh doesn't go back and teaches again in Hekesh. And there's even an opinion in Toisves that if even in something which is in the Gufa Korbanos, even in Kochim, in something which is not part of the Korbanos itself. So Binyan Beis Hamikdash is in Kochim, but it's not in Korbanos. Mimele, this whole learning that we learn throughout the Torah that women are exempt from time-bound positive mitzvahs does not shayach in Kochim, and building Beis Hamikdash is part of Kochim.
Women need to learn the Torah that applies to them.
No, they don't need to learn it. They need to know it. They need to know it. So if a woman grows up in a house and she sees her mother what she does, or she has Ruach HaKodesh and a Malach teaches her, or she goes to a Rebbitzin, or somehow she knows, that's great. She doesn't need to learn. She needs to know. Normally, you acquire knowledge by learning. But if there was a way to program her, to put a chip into her brain and tell her what to do tomorrow, she doesn't need to learn. She needs to know. We need to know and to learn. She doesn't. Another teretz, the Aruch LaNer. Aruch LaNer Sukkah Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, he says, building Beis HaMikdash is also at night, as the Rambam just taught us. But building Klei HaMikdash, the vessels of the Mikdash, you're allowed to do that at night. So since within the command of Ve'asuli Mikdash, the Klei HaMikdash are also included, it comes out it's not considered mitzvahs aseh she'azman gerama, and therefore women are chayav. The best answer is the last one. No question, hands down. Or am I to give, marks? But you're going to agree with me all, I think. The Divrei Yatziv says, there are two buildings of Beis HaMikdash. The real one in Yerushalayim, only men. Rambam just told us, but there's another one. Soita Yudzayin Amud Aleph Chazal say, Ish ve'isha zachu shchina b'neihem. If a man and his wife, they do everything right, they listen to a Shulchan Aruch, they don't argue, Shechina dwells in their house. Oh, so that's another Beis HaMikdash. In that Beis HaMikdash, women are also chayav. Don't think all the burden and all the responsibility is placed on the husband's shoulders. Women are also chayav. Hakol chayavim livnot ulesayed be'asma uvemamoinam, as the Rambam said. Everybody has to be involved in building that dwelling place for the divine. Each person's house. Isn't that the best answer? The real Beis HaMikdash, obviously, it's only men. It's a positive mitzvah, time and pas mitzvah. Women are excluded. But in your own private Beis HaMikdash, men and women are supposed to be involved alike. So Moshe Rabbeinu smashed the luchos. Why did he do this? Says the Baal Shem Tov. Moshe wants to protect Klal Yisrael so much. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I want to destroy them. So Moshe says, you know what? Shabbos Kufei Amud Beis. HaMeshaber Kelim B'chama. So if you break vessels, Chazal say, it's like you're Oived Avodah Zarah. So wait a second. Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to start a new nation for me. I'm going to make him not able to do this. If I am viewed like an Oived Avodah Zarah, so what's the difference between me and Klal Yisrael? Kodesh Baruch Hu won't be able to destroy them and start a new nation for me. I'm just like them. Mimele Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos in order to protect Klal Yisrael, because now Kodesh Baruch Hu will be forced to keep him and to keep Klal Yisrael. Baal Shem Tov. But if you are a UPS delivery boy, and I send you with a very, very expensive camera, one of a kind, and I tell you I want you to go to this town and I give it to this person, and you get there and you knock on the door and you open the guy is drunk, the guy is meshigeh, and you see it's not shayach to give him such an expensive item. It's clear to you that as soon as you give it to him, he's going to break it. What do you do with this item? Do you break it? Give it back to sender. What was Moshe Rabbeinu thinking? For whatever reason, you think they're not suitable to receive this luchos. Wait, I agree with you. They're dancing around the negel, singing and dancing, music, not shaykh. So go back to Kodesh Baruch Hu and say, so sorry, I think maybe you should pick other people. Maybe you should wait until they're done. Not now, not shaykh. No! If they're not ready for this, I'm going to throw it, I'm going to smash them. What was he thinking? Who asked this Shaila? Moshe V'skenim ala Torah. That's Aboseinu Balei HaTosfos. Listen to what they do with this. First of all, they ask, why does the pasuk says Vayashlech miyadav? What is Vayashlech? Threw it. It should have said Vayapel miyadav. Let it go. No, Vayashlech. And they say, well, the luchos were very heavy. You know how heavy they were? 40 seah. Very, very heavy. He was afraid they're going to hit his toes and break his foot, break his toes. So, Vayashlech, to make sure such a heavy thing doesn't fall on my toes, he threw it far away. That's Moshe V'skenim Balei HaTosfos. First answer. But they say, but why did he break the luchos? He should have just put him in Geniza, put him in a nice place, put him down, and then do what you need to do. Yesh lo imar, says the Moshe V'skenim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Lech red, go down. You're in Shamayim with me. Go down. Ki shiches amcha. Your nation did something terrible. Moshe thought he's not referring to Klal Yisrael. He's referring to his nation. Who's Moshe's nation? The Erev Rav that he converted. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it's not a good idea, but Moshe Rabbeinu said yes. Amcha. That's amcha, your nation. Meaning the people that you are responsible for, you're converted. When Moshe came down, he saw that's not the case. He saw everybody is swearing in the name of the Egel, and therefore he broke it down. But still, he should have put it in Geniza. That's the language of Moshe Skinim. Hayalo legonzam tachasahar. Fast, dig, put the luchos there, cover them. B'derech kabot, what are you doing? And don't tell me, since the Medrash says in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer that the letters flew away from the luchos, so there's no kedusha. Because it's true that in Shabbos Kuf Tezvav it says that a Sefer Torah that doesn't have 85 letters, you don't save it from the fire. You're right. But you shouldn't disgrace it. It's one thing that you don't have to save such a Sefer Torah, but you still can't disgrace it. And smashing the luchos, you don't have a greater disgrace than that. So what was he doing? And in Baba Basra Yudal Amud Beis we learn, Shivrei luchos munachim ba'aron. The broken parts of the luchos were placed in the aron, so there is kedusha there. So why did he break the luchos? Say the Moshe Skinim ala Torah. I found that Reb Yehuda HaChassid says they were very, very heavy, and he saw Klal Yisrael sinning. And if he's going to schlep this heavy luchos, by the time he gets there, they're continuing to sin. So he wanted to stop Yisrael from doing the wrong thing. And he says, if one sees somebody else sinning, you're walking in the street, you're carrying a Sefer Torah, and you see other people sinning, and you can stop them from sinning, you have to throw down the Sefer Torah and go stop them from sinning. That's the language of Moshe Skinim al Torah. Mamish unbelievable. And he says, but if you're going to ask me, but we don't say, do we say, you sin in order for your friend to do a mitzvah? I should throw down the Sefer Torah and disgrace Sefer Torah so my friend should do the right thing? He says, yes, for mitzvah de rabim shani, because we see in Gitin Lamed Ches that Rabbi Eliezer freed his slave. You're not allowed to do so. The pasuk says, le'olam bahem ya'avodu. When you have an Evet Knani, you have to keep him to yourself. You cannot release him. But he wasn't sure. There were only 9 people. He needed a 10th for a minyan. Mitzvah de rabim, Rabbi Eliezer freed his slave. So for mitzvah de rabim, we do say the concept of sometimes we'll allow a person to do a sin in order to save others from sinning. Or, more than that, he says, to make peace between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, when 2 people are fighting, a husband and a wife, you know what, erase my name as long as it's going to be Shalom Bayis. That's in one house. So he can't erase my name from the Torah in order to have Shalom between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. And therefore he realized it's okay to do, I can smash the luchos. That's the Moshe Skinim's answer. But the Meshech Chochma offers a different answer. Moshe came down. He's holding the luchos. And he sees Klal Yisrael dancing around the Egel. And he says, what are you guys doing? He said, we're looking for an intermediary. We need a go-between. Until now you were the man, you weren't here, so we figured we need somebody. Broker, we can't turn to Kodesh Baruch Hu directly. So Moshe was holding the luchos. And he flipped them and he saw at the bottom there was a sticker. It didn't say made in China. It said made in heaven. So he says, uh-oh. If I give them these luchos, you know what's going to happen? They're going to start bowing down to the luchos themselves. And Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to teach Klal Yisrael a lesson for generations. There is nothing sacred in this world. Not even a Sefer Torah. Not the luchos made in heaven. Unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu infuses him with Kedusha and tells you to bow down to something you don't. The only thing you bow down to is Ribono Shel Olam. And to teach this lesson, Moshe had to break the luchos to show them there is no Kedusha in this item. Even though it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you there's Kedusha and you should bow down to it. You don't bow down to anything other than Ribono Shel Olam. Question of the week. Another one, I think we had an earlier one. Vayipol min ha'am bayom hahu, a terrible plague. How many people died?
3,000.
Did it say 3,000? Ke. What is ke? Like, about. So how many people died? 2,982 or 3,003. What is ki? Shloishes alfa ish. About. Tell me how many. There's a reason there, because it wasn't as chatzos. Fine. Because he was afraid they could look at the watch, and not everybody's watch is exactly the same. But here, how many people died? This talking about people. You counted people and you got to 3,000. Did you get to 3,000? Or did you stop at 2,992? Maybe 3,015. What is like 3,000? Tell me a number.
We cannot say the same thing.
No.
If someone starts counting, it doesn't
Look at Rashi.
it was
Rashi. 3,000 you can count. You count and you see exactly 3,000. You can't make a mistake over there. Now, boys, say how many people died? 3,030. And how did you arrive at that conclusion? Ki is 20. If anything, you should say 3,020. Kaf is 20.
No, but it's got Yud.
No. Kishloshes. Kaf, Shin, Lamed. But it's Ksiv Chaser without a Vav. Shin, Lamed, Shin, Taf. So maybe 16, 3016. The surprising answer, and the question itself is found in the Zohar HaKodesh Parshas Balak, Daf Kuf Tzadi Daled Amud Aleph, and the Zohar asks, what does this mean? Kishloshes Alfeish. You don't know how to do some math? It's the language of the Zohar. The Torah says much greater numbers, exact, precise numbers, 6,212, exact numbers. But you can't tell me how many? You can't count till 3,000 and tell me exactly how much? This comes to teach you, says the Zohar, that really only 2 people died. And they are the sons of Bilam. Their names are Yonus and Yombrus, and they have the weight corresponding to 3,000 people. 1,500 people per person. But it's not really 3,000, so that's why we're saying Ki Shloshes, like 3,000. What do you mean like? Only 2.
Bilam?
The sons of Bilam, Yonus and Yombrus, are the only ones that died.
Yeah, but why are they considered like 3,000 people? They're Bilam's children.
Because these not stam a regular Rasha. Oof! A super Rasha that has the weight corresponding to 1,500 Rishayim.
What were they doing?
Is that the Chiddush of the day? Chiddush of the week.
What were they doing at Mapas Torah? What were they?
When they were there.
Probably Erev Rav. Not less than a Chiddush. Shmois Rabbah, Baal Shem Mem Vav, Ois Aleph, the Medrash says, the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Lech, red, I want you to go down. Why? Ki shiches amcha. They're doing a terrible thing. Moshe was holding on the luchas. Listen to our language. Velo haya ma'amin shechatu Yisrael. Moshe didn't believe, Klal Yisrael sinned. And Moshe says something. Omar. It's Medrash Shabbat. I wouldn't make it up. Im eini roya, eini ma'amin. Sorry, Kodesh Baruch Hu. I like you a lot. I love you. If I don't see it, I'm not going to believe it. Moshe Rabbeinu. Shenemar. How does the Medrash know this? Shenemar. Vayhi kasher karav Moshe el hamachaneh. Only when Moshe came close to the camp, he didn't break it until he saw with his own 2 eyes. Moshe doesn't believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What does that mean? Continues the Medrash and explains, woe to people who testifies on stuff that they didn't see with their own eyes. Because Moshe did not believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu that told him, Ki shiches amcha, your nation is doing something terrible. Moshe taught Klal Yisrael derech eretz. Even if a person here's testimony about something that happened from a person who's ne'eman, and there's no one trustworthy more than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Asur lekabel eidusoy vela'asos davar al piv im eino roye. If you didn't see it, you cannot act upon the information you just received. Lemeichash bai, you can suspect, you can worry, but you can't do something until you actually see it with your own eyes. Tremendous Chiddush. I'm sorry?
How does Beddin do anything? Didn't see it.
How does what? Beis Din?
Yeah.
2 edim. That same Torah said, Al pi shnayim edim yakum davar. But al pi ed echad, even if it's ed ne'eman, if a trustworthy ed, no go.
Yeah, but the ed saw, the Bedin didn't see. The Bedin believed.
But the Torah that says this is the same Torah that says, believe 2 edim. Riddle of the day. 3rd one, I think.
Yeah, but in Hilchot Lashon Hara, you can have someone נאמן עליך כשני עדים.
For certain things. But la'asot ma'aseh, that's the language of the Medrash, that's the emphasis here. To do a ma'aseh, only you can protect yourself, you can do other things, but to break the luchos, you have to see it with your own eyes, even if you heard it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Who pulled whose ear? Did anybody ever rip somebody else's ear in the Tanakh? Not Torah, in the Tanakh. You know what? Not in Tanakh, only in the Torah. You know what? Not in the Torah, only Chumash Shemois. You know what? Not in Chumash Shemois. In the last 5 parshas. You know what? Not in the last 5 parshas. Only in the last parsha, and this parsha, and next week's parsha. You know what? Only in this parsha. Vayomer alehem Aaron. Aaron says to the people, Parku nizmei hazav asher beoznei neshechem, b'nechem, uvnosechem, and bring it to me. Remove the golden earrings that they're on the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. What did they do? Vayisparku kol ha'am es nizmei hazav. They stripped themselves of the golden earrings. What does it mean? They stripped themselves. What would we expect the Torah to say? They took it off and they gave it to him. Vayisparku. Comes the Medrash HaGadol and says, what is this word? Vayisparku. Bo ure'eh. Omar Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina. Come and see how far the Yetzer Hara comes. Normally, when a person is requested to take something off his ear, the earring that they had, or the what's it called, the nose ring, or the earring, he takes it off slowly. He takes it off. Whatever you need to do to take it off. But here, they ripped the people's ears, their sons, their daughters, their wives, and brought the earring along with the ear itself. Who had golden lips?
There were a bunch of divorces.
So they used the other ear. Golden lips. Who had golden lips?
Women didn't agree to give them the earrings.
So they had to rip them off. Ad heichan magia koicho shel Yetzer Hara. Look how unbelievable koyach the Yetzer Hara has. It's a good question. Rabbi Isai, who had golden lips? Anyone in the Torah, golden lips? You know what? Not in the Torah, Chumash Shemos. You know what? Not Chumash Shemos. Parashat Tisa. Anyone who kissed the golden calf with all his heart, his lips became golden, and Shevet Levi would know who he is, and they would kill him. How many agalim were there? How many golden calves? One. The Yerushalmi Sanhedrin Perek Yud Halacha Beis says 13 golden calves. Not just one, each one for a tribe and one for everybody together. So is this the most depressing Pasha ever? It's got to be the saddest Pasha, no? These people a few weeks ago saw Ma'amad Har Sinai. They saw what Yechezkel HaNavi didn't see. And shortly after, all downhill, and they go and they not just sin a small little sin, the worst, Avodah Zarah. Isn't it the most depressing Pasha out there? This is the most encouraging Pasha in the entire Torah. Chazal say in Avodah Zarah Daf Daled, Lo hayu re'uyin Yisrael lechet shel chet ha'egel. It wasn't shaykh for Klal Yisrael to do this. So why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu allow them to stumble, to fall into such a terrible avera? To show everybody, future generation, liten pischon peh lebaalei tshuva. So never can there be a Baal Tshuva who comes to them and says, listen, I think, I'm convinced, I would like to join you. It's not shaykh. I sunk so low in the ocean of Averos. It's not shaykh for me to become a Baal Tshuva. So we point to Klal Yisrael. Look at Parshas Kisisa. Look. Klal Yisrael is a collective. They all serve the Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, but you're doing tshuva. You're banging your chest and you say, Chatasi aviti bachati, I accept you. So this is the most encouraging Parsha there is. Doesn't make a difference what you were involved in. What we were involved in the past. Doesn't make a difference. If a person wants to change, HaKadosh Baruch Hu welcomes him with open arms. What is the greatest segula for Parnasa? I know a booklet with 106 segulas for Parnasa, perhaps the best one. Birkas Hamazon, a great segula, coming from Sefer HaChinuch and Mitzvah Taf Lamed, but he's a Rishon. Parashat Haman, that's coming from Yerushalmi that we don't have. The Tashbetz bring, and the Mishnah Berurah brings the Tashbetz, quoting the Yerushalmi that we don't have, that says, whoever says Parashat Haman every day will never lack his Parnasa. Great.
I think it's said in name of Statmar Rebbe, he said the greatest segula for Parnasa is to go out and work.
I didn't quote this, not familiar with this, and I don't know that it works. The greatest gula is daven. The greatest gula for Parnasa is tshuva. Why tshuva? Tshuva is very good. Tshuva goes for everything. It's great. Shkoyach, you're a tzaddik. But what's the connection to tshuva and Parnasa? Because in the beginning of the Pasha, we learned about Machzis HaShekel. And Moshe had difficulty understanding what that is. So the Medrash says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took from under his heavenly throne, he took out a gold coin, a fire coin, he said, here, this is it. Here, this is Machzis HaShekel. This is what it looks like. Apparently, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has under his throne a basket full of golden coins. Yuma Pei Vav Amud Aleph, Chazal say, Gedoyla Tshuva. Tshuva is so great, Shemagas, it reaches Ad Kisei HaKavod. Oh, so with tshuva you reach the heavenly throne. If you're already there, just reach to the basket that he has under his heavenly throne. Take some coins. Tshuva is the greatest skula for parnasa. By the way, tshuva is the greatest skula for memory as well. What's the connection? Tshuva is great. Well, what's the connection between tshuva and memory? Because tshuva takes you all the way ad kisei hakavod. Gedola tshuva shemagas ad kisei hakavod. And in Musaf or Shoshana we daven and we say ve'en shichecha lifnei chisei chevodecha. If you're by the heavenly throne, over there is no shichecha, there's no forgetting, and therefore it's the greatest gula, not only for parnasa, but also for shichecha. Abu Isai, there was a guy who came into the brisker Rav, and he saw that they were saying their Tehilim, the brisker Rav and his family, with a lot of kavana, with a lot of excitement. Obviously something really, really bad happened. They were all sitting around the table and saying Tehilim, 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 Tehilim. So he says to the brisker Rav, is anything wrong? Everything okay? The mamish are there saying in tears. So the brisker Rav looks at him and says, what, you didn't hear? You didn't hear what happened? He says, no, Rebbe, I didn't. You didn't hear what happened? No, I didn't hear what happened. He says, you know why you didn't hear what happened? It's because we're sitting here saying Tehilim. I think in the last 4 months we've been saying a lot of Tehilim, but perhaps some of us are saying it, talking to myself, in autopilot mode. That's not how we should be saying Tehilim. Unfortunately, terrible things happen every single day. If we want it to stop, we have to say Tehilim like we really mean it. In order for us not to have news. You know why you didn't hear what happened? Because here we're saying Tehilim, and that stops bad news.
I was going to say what happened on the 7th of October is connected with the Chet Egel. Don't Rashi say that, but it's like punishment for all generations. Each time.
Chazal say, not Rashi, that en puranos, no calamity comes to the world that doesn't have something that is connected with Chet Egel, any calamity throughout the generations. So everything is connected a little to Chet Egel. We still didn't 100% clean it. אחינו כל בית ישראל נשואים בצר ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה ובין מתחת ליבשה, נתן לו זמקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם. מצרה לרווחה, מאפלה לאוירה, משיעבוד לגאולה, אשתו בעגולו וזמן קורי ונוימר, אמן.